Today we're going to service the John Deere 310B. We're going to change the hydraulic fluid, transmission filter, and the hydraulic filter. Okay, this machine, she's from 1984. I picked it up used. Well-maintained machine. Here's the filter part numbers. If you can read that. These filters don't come with the gasket for the canister housing, so they'll have to be ordered separate. There's the gasket for the canisters, and it's an R34732. Also there's some O-rings. Pick them up, and that's part number R394R. And I also picked up a length of hydraulic hose. This goes between the hydraulic filter housing and the transmission case. The one underneath is looking a little rough, so I figure while I'm under there, might as well replace it. It's probably original to the machine. So, and that's it for the parts. Okay, so looking under the machine, these are the canisters that house your filter assemblies. This being the hydraulic filter housing, this being the transmission filter housing. And this is the length of hose that I was referring to before that I'd like to change. I mean, she's a little soft. Heard some horror stories about that blowing out. So while I'm under here, I might as well get it done. And to do that, you're going to have to remove some bolts. I believe there's just 2 bolts from what I could tell. Loosen this housing, pull it apart, and take the hose off. And while I'm at that, I'm going to go ahead and remove this hose by barb connection to remove the screen. Now, if you don't plan on doing that, there is another fitting on the opposite side of the transmission case that you could take this apart, remove this, and pull your screen out this way. As I mentioned, there's 2 bolts holding this hydraulic filter housing up. I'm going to have to remove these 2 bolts, kind of wiggle that out of the way to get this hose out. Alrighty. And this right here, this is the drain for your transmission, which you should be getting about roughly around 9 to 10 gallons of fluid out of this. This unit holds about 20 gallons of hydraulic fluid, so I'll try and squeeze out as much as I can and replace the fluid. Okay, I got the fluid draining, got the transmission filter housing down. Took it apart because this is the O-ring I showed you earlier that I like to replace. The way this goes is this is going to go up through your housing, and you get your spring. That's going to go over your bolt, and then your cup, which centers your filter in your housing, go on top. And then you have this little guy. It's your snap ring. Lock that in place. A little bit of a bear to get out. And you clean your housing up really well. Make sure there's nothing in there. We'll put that all back together and put the transmission filter in. Okay, that's the transmission filter housing with the tire assembly put back together. And we'll do the same with the hydraulic filter housing. Alright, we got both filter housings cleaned, ready to go. Get down there, we'll pull that assembly apart to change out the hose. See you in a bit. Alrighty, so I was able to get the hose out between the filter housing and transmission case. This I purchased from John Deere. I heard horror stories, only use the John Deere hose because it's a much heavier hose. Really no giving this hose. This is pretty heavy duty. This hose here, I think they replaced this, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem right. So let's get the right hose in there. Now we'll be sure. I'll have to cut it to length and have a peace of mind anyways. Alrighty, we'll return. Well, we got the hydraulic screen out of the transmission case, and I gotta say I was pretty impressed. There's a little bit of gunk towards the ends. No metal shavings, which I was glad to see. Pretty much looked just like that. So we got our hose cut, screens out, canisters cleaned. This was a bear to get out, really tight, and ready to start putting everything back together, get the fluid in it. Now under the machine, this is what I have. See where I did loosen this so I could get that hose assembly out. I don't know if you can tell it's moving. Another drain plug at the rear of the transmission. Collecting what I can out of that. The only thing I could say is be ready with buckets and lots of oil. They want a lot of rags. Alright, well I got as much fluid drained out of it as possible. As you can see, the condition pretty dark. That's about all I got out of it, so there's still a lot left in the machine, unfortunately. I'll probably be doing some premature filter changes again. See if I can clean some of this up. Glad I got into it. Underneath, we're ready to machine. All the plugs have been reinstalled. New hose has been put on. Assembly bolted in. We get the filters in. Start on the fluid and get back in business. Okay. We're all reassembled. Filters are in. Everything's tightened. Looks good. Ready for the fluid. Okay, the fluid I'm using is the John Deere High Guard. Pretty sure that's all that was ever used in this machine, from what I could tell from records. There's the part number. It's pricey, but you know what? You're better off going using the better fluid, recommended fluid. You got yourself a peace of mind for a couple extra bucks. So let's get this in there and then we'll see how she runs.